down women with diluted dreams. Our hope for joy has been washed down the stream.
I'm Robin Hawkins, and you're listening to Watered Down Women.
Hoping to be free, found a new home in the cemetery.
In past episodes of Watered Down Women, we've talked about monsters and the evil that drives them, but we've never really taken a serious look at the beast itself. The topic of monsters and the boogeyman are typically subjects that children want to avoid. But knowing that, have you ever wondered why an 18-year-old young woman would not only think about this subject matter, but would actually invest an entire summer into researching how to graft body parts together, and then creating a hideous literary creature based upon those findings? Much speculation has been considered as to how she could have come up with such a shocking premise, especially for a girl of that era, and perhaps a psychological perspective of the words behind her writing might attribute Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to her own shortcomings and feelings of being less than other women because of her inability to carry children to full term and their subsequent premature deaths. But a historical perspective might easily allege that the story's gruesomeness derived from the unrelenting gloom caused by the eruption of the Mount Tambora volcano, which ushered in the 1816 year without summer. That massive eruption caused climatic aberrations that destroyed crops throughout the northern hemisphere. It brought heavy June and July snowfall along eastern North America and led to an outbreak of famine and disease in Europe due to over 100 straight days of pouring rain and absolutely no sunshine. Some blamed the circumstances of that summer on divine retribution, and others feared a return of the Ice Age. But regardless of the natural or supernatural forces that dictated that year's weather, and regardless of the internal or external darkness that filled Mary Shelley's environment, the literary world was introduced to a loathsome creature that would serve as the standard for nearly all subsequent monsters. Since the 1821 publication of Frankenstein, literary and big-screen monsters have evolved into a variety of creatures ranging from werewolves to blood-sucking vampires to aliens and even to children's dolls. And in regards to the latter, the use of menacing dolls goes all the way back to Hollywood's black and white filmmaking days. Originally, ventriloquist dummies were the go-to creepy toy person, and they gradually segued into clowns and then seemingly lovable baby dolls. Maybe those silver screen masters had an insight that was way ahead of its time. Or maybe they were just giving actual human-like traits to those human-like figurines. You see, heinous behavior of individuals isn't something that simply sprung up because they watched it on a movie screen or read it in a book, because the evil nature of human beings goes back much farther than the 20th century. The personality trait, known as Machiavellianism, can be traced back not only to the Old Testament, but to the very first son of the very first family. Adam and Eve's son Cain used this cunning strategy to entice his brother Abel out into a field where he attacked his brother and then killed him. In later generations, it can be said that Esau lost his birthright because his brother utilized similar manipulation to not only steal his brother's birthright, but to receive the blessings of their blind and aged father. Even the Hebrew meaning of the name Jacob is an idiom for deceptive behavior. In psychology, a concept known as the dark triad, which is comprised of the personality traits of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, all of which constitute antisocial personality traits and are often used by law enforcement as measures of determining someone's likelihood of committing crimes. Although each of these traits is distinct and is independently listed as a disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, these three often overlap and form a triad or trio of malevolent attributes. Common characteristics among these three traits are an overall lack of empathy toward others, internal hostility, and interpersonal offensiveness, which is a dysfunction among one's relationships with others. Individuals who possess these types of personalities have a strong belief that manipulating others is the primary method of creating a successful life, and they continually master their craft of mental domination as a means of furthering their own satisfaction and personal well-being. Interestingly, 5 of the top 10 most common occupations of narcissists are politicians, lawyers, university lecturers, clergy, and criminals. According to Quora.com, none of these professions are completely filled with individuals possessing dark triad traits. But a sense of an overinflated worth, the lack of accountability, and the need to control are similar commonalities among members of these professions. It's been said that there's a fine line between genius and insanity. And according to the Economic Times, scientists have discovered that highly creative people have a protein coding gene called Neuregulin 1, which is also found among those with psychoses or depression. With all that being said, you might be wondering, what does a discussion about the dark triad have to do with this podcast? Well, in Season 4 of Watered Down Women, you not only need to have your shovel finely sharpened, you better bring along a compass, because we are going in a totally different direction. We've shared several tragic stories of women who were either murdered by someone they once loved and trusted, or who vanished at the hands of a stranger, or who suffered heartbreak because of a collective lack of caring. But now, we'll look at who would water down, weaken, and murder women. Let's now remove a mask and expose the killer in plain sight.
Watered down women with diluted dreams are hope for joy has been washed down the stream.
Grab a shovel and join me each Monday as we dig a little deeper and uncover the tragedies of watered-down women.
In the cemetery.